Hi, Brent Haynes with Woodsounds Flutes. I'm here to talk to you about finish today. The Woodsounds Finish is one of the things that I get asked the most about. I can't tell you how many times I've been asked, Brent, what is your finish? And for years I've always told people, gosh, that's my secret sauce. And although I'm not going to discuss exactly what it is made out of today, I will tell you this, that it's an acrylic-based material, and that it's a material that takes an awful lot of work to get on the flutes and to make it look the way that it does. In fact, it takes more time to put our finish on than it does any other single part of the flute making process. If we were to not put the finish on our flutes, it would cut an enormous amount of time off of the flute making process. The reason that I put it on our flutes, you may ask yourself, gosh, why does he do it? Why does he spend so much time putting that finish on his flutes? The answer is really simple. Number one, it protects my flute players from the woods. And you say, what? What do you mean it protects the flute players from the woods? I thought it was because it made the flutes beautiful. Well, it does make the flutes beautiful, no question about it. It does look beautiful, and it does feel incredible in the hands. It does all those things. And it does protect the wood from the moisture. It does that too. What do you mean it protects the flute player from the wood? Well, here's a fact. Woods have in them materials that protect the wood from fungus, from insect invasion, from bacteria, and from other things that can invade the tree. The trees have natural protection from biological invasion. It's just a simple fact. And the reality is that people can have reactions to these. They can have allergic reactions and other reactions. There was a time once when I thought it would be really cool to take Padauk and mix Padauk with alcohol and make a stain. Padauk is this really outrageous orange wood. Let me see. I think I have a piece right here. This is Padauk. If I cut this Padauk and sanded it up, you would see it's this bright orange wood. And so I thought it would be really cool to take this Padauk and mix it with alcohol. And so I did that. But I didn't wear any gloves. I was just a brand new woodworker, didn't know what I was doing, and playing with wood. Anyways, I made this stain out of this Padauk, and I started playing with it everywhere. I was staining everything in my shop orange. I just thought it was so cool. And that alcohol got that Padauk stain into my system, and I swelled up like just bright red. I turned everything right here turned bright red. I turned bright red all here, and all this was bright red. I had a really severe reaction to the Padauk, and it was not good. And so I ended up having to take a bunch of Benadryl and so on to get that to calm down. Now, Padauk is a fairly benign wood in general. It's a good wood to work with, and I love working with it. Makes a great flute. It's very beautiful, and I love Padauk. Fabulous wood. But I'll tell you what, I certainly want to have a barrier between me and Padauk when I'm going to play the flute, because I don't want Padauk wood coming into my system. I just know that it's not good. And so I really love my finish because it provides that layer of protection between me and the Padauk. And that's just a great protection. It's a great layer of protection. Now, I know that there's a lot of controversy over, what's natural and what's not natural, and that's great. But for me, I want to have a layer of protection between me and the natural insecticides and the natural fungicides that the woods have in them to protect the woods from their natural enemies, the insects and the funguses and things like that. So that's what my finish does, number one. It provides a barrier between you and the natural insecticides and fungicides that are in the wood. And it does a really good job of that. So that's the number one thing that the finish does, and it does a great job of it. So that's why I've chosen this acrylic-based finish for my finish. Number one reason. Number two reason is it is gorgeous. It is really beautiful. It's wicked hard. It is wicked hard to put on the flutes. It is so difficult to do. Like I said, it takes more time for us to put our finish on the flutes and to make it look good and beautiful than it is any other part of the flute making process. It is ridiculously difficult to do. But for me, it's worth it. It's worth it because it provides that layer of protection, and it's very beautiful. In fact, I went ahead and made a couple of samples here. They're not perfect because the finish isn't perfect over here because I was just kind of hurrying to make these samples for this video. But I used some green tape to get us a nice clean line. And over here is just polished, sanded and polished. And then over here is the finish. And so you can see the depth of light that the finish gets into the wood, and also the color intensity difference that the finish provides. Now this particular piece of wood is Tasmanian blackwood, and it's very curly. It has a beautiful curl to it, and that curl really comes out with the Tasmanian blackwood. And so when you have the my finish on it, and so you can see that really well here. Now I'm going to use some photos so that and interlace those into this video so that you can really see these close up. I'll probably put one right here and show this close up right here. Okay, so again, this is Tasmanian blackwood. This next wood is silver maple. This is the silver maple that we're using for the Jeff Ball signature flute. And it again is also extremely curly. It doesn't have as much color to it, but it does have quite a bit of color that comes out when you put the finish on. And it is very beautiful, and it has an extreme depth of curl that comes out when you put the finish on. It is really amazing. You can really see that curl depth right in here. It's really insane. Hopefully this will come out in the pictures. I'm going to wave it back and forth a little bit and hope that the video will capture that. And then we'll take some photos so you can see this too. Now you can see the curl as well with just the sand and polish, but not near to the same degree. And it is beautiful, and quite honestly, I love the feel of raw wood just polished. It is one of my favorite feels. It really has a luxurious feel to it, to me. I love the feel of my finish as well, but personally I really love the feel of raw wood, just sanded and polished, taken to a real high sand and then polished. The problem is that it gets the oils from our fingers, packs dirt into the grain of the wood, and over time this finish does not hold up. And so over time this just gets grimy looking, and the beauty does not last. And so even though it may be beautiful to begin with, it just does not stay. And so we have a beauty that just doesn't hold for a long period of time. And so it's very difficult to maintain this beauty. Whereas this beauty over here with my finish on it, this does last, and the maintenance of this beauty is very easy. You simply wipe it down with a clean, moist cloth and then dry that off, and that's your maintenance on it. When you're playing the flute, you play the flute and then dry it after you're done playing. That's the maintenance on the flute itself. And I like to use a little bit of tea tree oil in the first chamber to drive out any mold or or insects from that first chamber, or spiders or things like that. That's the kind of maintenance that I like in the flute itself. Let it dry out, and then that's really the maintenance on the instrument, and it will take care of the instrument, and it will do a great job. And it'll look great for a long time. It'll look new. This next piece of wood is a piece of Manzanita burl. I'm making a Manzanita burl flute. Well, actually, I'm going to be making a video with a Manzanita burl flute in it here in just a little bit. It's very beautiful. As you can see, the Manzanita burl really reacts to the finish beautifully. It just gets beautifully dark, and the grain just comes out lovely. It's beautiful just polished as well, but it just doesn't have the richness of the color. You know, it just doesn't pop. But with the grain, with the finish, just, I mean, it's just amazing. And so the finish, or the flute that I have, has some turquoise in it, and has some yellow cedar burl on it. We did these little yellow cedar burl inlays, with little triangle inlays on it. Oh my gosh, it is so amazing. So I'll show that to you in a little bit in a video. But anyways, we'll do some close-ups of this so you can see these in a picture. So those three samples there give you an idea of how the finish affects the wood. With other woods, similar sorts of effect. You get an increase in color saturation when the finish is applied. It's remarkable. Some of them, when we put the finish on versus no finish, it's like Christmas. Every time we put finish on, it's like, what's this flute going to look like, you know? And it's almost like Christmas when we're putting finish on, you know, opening up the presents to see what the flutes are going to look like. And it's always very exciting. And for me, I love it. I love making flutes. I love seeing the grain of the woods. I love seeing what we're going to create out of a new wood and a new grain, and seeing how it's going to pop and be made into an instrument, what it's going to turn out like. And what I love most is I love hearing the music that you create on them, and hearing the beauty that comes out of you on our instruments. For me, that's the real joy of making flutes. And I really appreciate you supporting us with purchasing our flutes. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the instruments that we make on a continuing basis. And if there's anything that we can do to assist in your enjoyment of our instruments, please let us know. God bless.